One thing that I've been learning about the last couple of weeks, that I've been removing outdated energy from my life, is that just because people miss your energy doesn't mean that you should come out of your obedience to feed them your energy. I know how long I'll be in hermit mode, but that's because Source revealed that to me. People keep asking to hang out. What are you doing for your solar return? When are we going to? Did you come? What did you do? Where are you going? Mind your fucking business. Don't worry about what I'm doing. Worry about what you're doing. I have been sowing into people for a very, very, very long time. I can't say that everybody has sold into me. In fact, I'm probably too expensive for y'all. Because the things that I do, you can't do. And when I say you can't, that don't mean that your money can't get you there. But you don't got that connection like I got that connection, like, okay? I got that connection, that divine orchestrated source God connection. That was given to me. So, people know what you bring. People know who you are. People always knew who you were from day one. I just recently watched this movie because in the last, let's back up. 2019, I stopped watching TV because I felt like it was a distraction. And I said, you know what? If I want to be an entrepreneur, if I really want to go all in on my brand, I really, really need to cut the distractions. And two things that I decided to cut were men and TV. So for the next 5 years, I dedicated myself to myself and my brand. I wear a ring on my left finger. I wear a ring on my left finger. That's a dedication to my brand. Not no man. And it's not to say that I don't want that, but I'm looking for a husband. Not just a man. And when I decided to cut out these distractions, I lost a lot of time. I lost a lot of, I guess, inner knowing from the content that would have been consumed. But I promise you it was a divine protection. Because I go back and I watch these movies now that were generated and created, especially during 2019, 2020 year, that were exposed or, released, if you will. And I'm like, wow, these things were really hidden in plain fucking sight. They really had the light codes and the answers right in plain sight. I started watching these movies where, they're futuristic, of course, because why would I care to watch anything about today? And all of the futuristic movies point out beings with powers. So if they're all in the movies, how calcified is your pineal gland that you cannot plainly operate in this shit show of society with your lenses open? It's giving very much the Wayne glasses vibes. Like, lift up the frames, take off the rose-colored glasses. The messages were Oh, you got the shine. Don't use your shine too much. They will know how to track you. When he said that shit, I was like, don't use your shine too much. They will learn how to track you. Baby, if that was the case, then I would have fucking went ghost a long time ago. Because they been. They always know where I'm at. And I don't know if that's because the plane ticket always got a fucking one-way sign to a destination or what. You know, I've been unplugging from people, places, and things and not really recognizing what that is doing for my life. Meditating. The other day I meditated outside for 3 hours. Bro, I didn't even know I was out there that long. The neighbor come by like, what are you doing out here so early? What you mean? Just because you always out in the fucking house don't mean that you don't know that I'm out here all the time. But on this day, I decided to watch the sunrise. And it wasn't like a Cali sunrise where I could go on a lawn and actually watch that shit come up on a high rise. I mean, no, this was a sunrise over brick buildings. And you still have to appreciate nature for what it is. I am a nature lover. I will go run in the park barefoot. I will take off my shoes and do it. And the other day, I ran from this man in a walker. Don't laugh. I ran from this man in a walker because I was going in the park. And he was just, his energy was just all wrong to me. And I was like, no shade or disrespect, but I'm pretty sure I could get down this hill faster than he can. Let's take off our shoes and run. So that's what the fuck I did. And it was all grassy, and it reminded me of a childhood. You know, us riding down Clove Lakes Park Hill with tops of garbage cans and snow tubes as kids. You know, thinking about how cheap gas was then, 78 cents, 90 cents, and how we still couldn't afford gas. You know, when you adjust things for inflation, it's really perspective for that ass. And, you know, I have really been going inside and of the dark spaces because, let's be frank, a lot of y'all is afraid of the dark. I welcome it. In fact, too many people think that I practice dark magic because I'm not afraid to go into the dark. I'm just in my divine feminine power, so I know how to alchemize both light and dark. So if you're afraid to go into the dark, how will you ever become the light? How do you... I always think about my heart, and I always say, like, damn, I got 2 holes in them shits because of love, you know, and hurt. And the holes just started out as bruises, and then they became wounds, and then full-on fucking holes messing with y'all. And, you know, just thinking about what a wounded heart looks like. Just have Band-Aids all over it. Think about Band-Aids. They have some, you know, Buzz Lightyear Band-Aids for like $5 and change at Target recently. And I was like, there's no way I'm paying $5 for any fucking Band-Aid. So I just kept searching, and somehow the Buzz Lightyear Band-Aids had a $2.39 discounted price on it. I'm like, oh, we definitely are in the perfect realm. Clearly with Buzz, that's the homie. Flashbacks to Toy Story. And we gonna rock this Buzz Lightyear Band-Aid. And the only reason why I was there for a band-aid is because I had some evil eye on me. I talk about the story. And my scrape and scar needed a fucking bandage with a, ointment, medicated ointment. And I'm like, damn, there's a band-aid, the first band-aid I'm wearing on my legs, and I don't know how long. But just as much as I had to clean the womb, finesse it, for the naturals, apply honey to it so it doesn't scar. Getting into a phase of cleansing and healing the womb before the band-aid comes in. But half of y'all don't do that. Y'all just put the fucking band-aid on. I'm healed. Let's jump into a new relationship. My pussy is dripping. My D is hard. I definitely need something to sit on. That B was driving me crazy. Ain't nothing new. Wait, ain't nothing like some new punani. Right? That's what they be saying. But I'm here to tell you, us females feel the same way. Probably way quicker than y'all. But we'll never tell. Oops, maybe I did. But yeah. That's all you keep doing is just putting a bandage on top. You're not healing. You're not going into the dark. Being a beautiful being on this earthly plane. One thing that men convinced me to be was in relationships, and often. So if I came out of one relationship and in the next couple of months or so, I'm in a new one. And I'm not just in one for a couple of days. No, I'm in that shit for a couple of years. We doing some bids out here. And when I had looked up after the, final relationship that I was in, I just realized that everything was all wrong. I'm the one making the decisions. I'm the one progressing the relationship. I'm the one creating the date nights. I'm the one. And I was like, there's no way this is supposed to be how it's supposed to be. Because when you're the feminine energy consistently taking the lead in a relationship, that's how the heart gets these bruises and these wounds. Allow a man to court you and to fucking worship the ground you walk on if he really wants to fucking taste your cookies. I don't even care if that's the only reason. Make him worship the ground that you walk on, because after all, he has a need for some new punani. He needs you. You don't need him. When I see a woman hypersexualized, every day she needs to, quote unquote, have an orgasm or bust a nut, I was going to say, for you not so fancy people. Shout out to y'all. I'm still not so fancy. And I'm like, there's no way this is a woman. She has had so much sperm dumped into her that she is now a man. And people don't value protection in intimate spaces with people who aren't their man or husband, fiancés even. Y'all creating soul ties with all the wrong people. And then they're dumping their loads like the fucking garbage truck in you. And then you're so confused. I know this makes me think about couples who don't look like one another. You can tell who has a close relationship and who doesn't, or how their intimate life is based upon if they look alike or not. If a man is depositing DNA into your womb, eventually that shit's going to go to some areas, if it doesn't die outside of your body first. For those who got that, that's going to seep into your DNA, into your bloodstream. And this is exactly why you should start looking like some people later. You know, if you put a man up in front and you have his wifey or his lady and all the side bitches that he might be intimate with, because y'all niggas ain't shit sometimes, I guarantee you the wifey is going to be the one who looks like him. And that's how you will always know who is quote unquote the main girl and who actually really reflects and looks like their spouse, and how intimate and how much of a deep bond that these people actually have. Do they pillow talk? Do they spend time together? Do they run errands together? Are they using protection? Are they not? How much DNA is being swapped in between two people? This is why I never understood how parental units involve themselves in other people's marriages, their kids' marriages. You have never, God willing, I pray, you have never been intimate with your child for you to know the type of bond this person has created with their said wife or husband. Do you understand what I'm trying to put down? You need to really think about this. If you're a woman with a hypersexual drive, not saying that you shouldn't have an active sex drive, because I promise the closer I get to 40, baby, when they say that you really in your prime, you could really feel that shit. Like, if I never want to lose something, it's that. Yes, sir. I actually enjoy that part of this age, because these last 5 years, I've chosen to be very cautious with giving out my sexual energy. And it's simply because I understood the laws of the universe. It's simply because I started digging into who I am. Once I became an erotic poet, I started digging into what sexual exchange really is. I remember being on Hood Mystic's radio station show talking about LOL, Love is a Libra, and sacred energy and what that may look like. And I was so novice in the space. I just knew how I felt when I wanted to write the book. I didn't necessarily allocate for the exposure it would also get, because I've never done anything for the exposure. You know, if I'm putting a book together, it's definitely for the peace and the release of the project. People don't realize that your heart and soul really goes into writing a book, which is why it takes so long for people to finish it. You know, I had wrote this book last year around my solar return, like days after, and it just came out and it was easy, and it was because I was in a deep healing space. And here we are, fast forwarding. I've been rewriting this book this entire year, and here we are a year later, and I'm still not finished. In fact, I just thought of another chapter, you know. And creating projects such as bodies of work, such as writing a book, does not come easy. Your life's experiences and your traumas and the bruises and wounds and band-aids all mean something. Why did these things happen to me? Did I always have a life of lack? Is there a lifetime when there was not a life of lack? Knowing what I know about my family, there was an individual who decided to play United States and altered some paperwork. And due to that altering, it literally pushed my entire bloodline into poverty, me included. And that was on one side of the family. On the other side of the family, another pussy decided to chase some and pushed our entire bloodline into poverty. And this is why I harp on the concept of sacred energy, because in both instances, women were the driving force of deception. And I don't know who put these people up to it, but I internally feel like one of them had to have a male figure in their life that convinced them that this was okay. And the other one most definitely had a male figure in their life that convinced them to steal multiple properties from my family. Which directly affected me. So each of my families were black royalty. There's no other way to slice it. We had money, we owned property, and we worked in America after coming through Ellis Island or legally, and we ran up a bag. And here I am 2 generations later, directly affected by poverty from now not one side but both sides. And you, Nadia, have to decide if you want to continue this poverty-stricken bloodline or if you would like to make it stop with you. And of course I wanted to make it stop with me, which is why we are here. But one thing I think people need to understand and learn is that once someone in your family decides to be chosen and to rise up to higher heights of elevation and to remove those generational strongholds off of their bloodline, you're not entitled to those benefits of the stronghold being broken in the physical, only the supernatural. If you didn't answer the call to remove generational strongholds off of your bloodline, then why should you be entitled to its blessings in the physical? I'm shaking my head because I still don't understand. You will only be rewarded in the spiritual because you will literally feel that energy remove off of your back. You will sleep better at night. I mean, I won't sleep. It's 25 minutes in, and I'm almost certain it's like 3:20 in the morning. And I've been up for an hour. Lately, I've been rising up out of my sleep. Confused, even. But back to these generational curse breakers. Because once that black sheep chosen person who decides that this life is not for them, whatever energy that they put into excelling is what their energy manifests into on this Gregorian plane. So if I'm manifesting all of that fucking smoke back to me, all of that real estate, all of this property back to me, and if no one in my family decided to stand up for us to do it, who should own the property? Me or them? Do you understand? And I promise, the only reason why I'm privy to this information is because I went into the darkness to dig out the light. I started doing the deep genealogy research. I started looking at the archives and the documents, because one thing that the United States is going to do is leave a fucking paper trail. And this is why I leave a paper trail. I have real life credentials, real life accomplishments, real life breadcrumbs. My stomach is going crazy, Gremlin. Breadcrumbs are like, if you go to a website and you know how you got to find the menu page, you got to click it, you get to another page, and then sometimes you got to click into another page, depending on where you started at. Some people have a direct link. Let's say if I'm looking at like a news article or something, New York Times, I could sometimes just click on the direct link, or I'll be at the homepage and I would have to type it in, into that search box. Whatever the case may be, those little steps that you take are the breadcrumbs. So how much are the breadcrumbs? Are they like cracker crumbs? Or are they like full-on peanut butter and jelly breadcrumbs? How much spiritual work have you done to dig into the origins of you and then lead the breadcrumbs behind as a blueprint for others to benefit from? And this is why I turn my pain into power. When my ex cheated on me, I wrote an erotic poetry book and made money. Because we don't get mad, we make money. We don't get even, we make money. Right now, me being still, me being in a house, smoking tree every day, listening to music every day, writing and reading every day, removing furniture, changing things around, scrubbing my floors, adding Florida water to that. bleaching my floors and adding Florida water on the top. Get that energy out. I heard a message that said, if the grout is dirty, you're not cleaning enough. Baby, I got to cleaning. Because you know how you got common areas in your house? Sometimes the common areas got a little bit more buildup than the others, right? So we had to scrub and to get into that gritty space. Because you know what? At the end of the day, the only thing that I want to do is become free as fuck. But one thing that you cannot do is become free in a messy space. You keep your space clean, that's how your mind reflects. There's less time to wonder and look for things. If somebody said, hey, I need you to get boom, could they just walk right into the space and follow the directions that you provided and boom? Or would it take some time for them to find, whereas you should have just did it yourself? So depending on how much clutter you may have, I can tell what your mind is like. And this is why prayer and meditation is so important. I challenge myself to take breaks from things and see how effective these things would be in my life or not. Meditation, sleep music, yoga, walking, coffee every once in a while, eating Wawa subs, Doritos, mad that they nachos, Bars by Nikki. What do you enjoy? What do you allow yourself to enjoy? How much have you cleaned the grout? Once again, those dark spaces that need to become light, they require work, hard scrubs. Man, I scrubbed them floors with that bleach, and I had put some like foaming sensation in that shit. Walked away, the whole shit was like foamy. I took a walk, 25 minutes, came back, the foam finally started settling, and I'm like, okay, cool, let's keep it pushing, let's go to the next session. Man, this was my entire day. Because the littlest messages come out of the biggest rewards. Make sure you're cleaning your floors in your home. I used to change my room around once a month. And now, the last time I changed was sometime over the summer. So maybe May, June. And, recognizing that my contract for work ended in June, and I wouldn't say that I fell in a slump, but I was really and have really been thinking about my life and where I want to go for 2025. It is a 9-year. 5 plus 2 is 7 plus 2 is 9, 2025. 2 plus 2 is 4, 4 plus 5 is 9. You can actually use your fingers and count. It is a 9-year. The power that you will possess in your hands, in your mind, in your gut, in your throat, in your heart will grow exponentially if you are healed and in the light. A lot of people, you don't have ascension symptoms or know what it's like to be spiritual or lack spirituality or faith. Really, that's what it is. You lack faith because you have too much darkness holding you down. You're envious of people who can transmute their energy. You're wondering why people are continuing to make accomplishments. What's next for them? And then they do something next. And you're like, what the fuck? Why do they keep winning? And it's because they know how to transmute the dark into light energy. And because you have all of that darkness and band-aids over your heart without healing, you cannot ascend. You will not ascend. Last year, I wrote a post under my page that clearly talked about the Wheel of Fortune and how it was upon us. And it was a little bit, probably like July 2023. And then a couple of months later, that dealership popped off. And I'm like, ooh, here's one. And then some CEOs stepped down. And there's two. Then a whole bunch of people started joining Brinks. There's three. And then Guyana found natural resources. Then Jamaica found natural resources. That's 4 and 5. Then there was earthquakes and storms and hurricanes. Like, how many some more signs do y'all need to understand? This is a light and a dark separation. If you are not spiritually prepared, you will not ascend. You have to be light in order to ascend. You have to be light in order to benefit from the benefits of the 9 year. This is an 8 year, a very upheaval year. This is on some Lake Tahoe climbing up in the middle of February, March type of year. And 8 is a tumultuous year. It is an equal balance of positive and negative. Think about the infinity symbol. It is ever evolving, ever going, ever changing. But there is that point, those polar opposites. There is that point where they cross in the middle to balance that light and dark energy. It is an 8 year. There's lots of darkness and there's lots of light. It is a battle. And then 9 is the highest number. If you upside down it, it's a 6. But going back to the 9, thinking about the 90s and the energy that came with that. Shout out to the 80s babies. Think about that 90s energy. You know how amazing it was to grow up in the 90s, bro? Energy, big energy. Having like witnessed hip hop and then having witnessed the flip of hip hop, but still rocking to hip hop, epic. I still love shell toes to this day. I think I might have to rock a pair tomorrow. I got a couple in the arsenal. But before the storm comes the calm. Couldn't take the heat like LeBron. I don't think I want to talk anymore. My stomach is growling like we gonna really eat at 4 a.m. Because I don't know how to just snack. I want a meal. So when we rise up, we gonna have to take care of that. You know, I had made some bomb salmon last week. And this week I'm like, yo, I have to have fried chicken. It's just something about it. I miss the fried chicken in Alabama. That shit was fresh. You can get an 8-piece for like $7, bro. And then when they like increased the price for all white meat to $11, I was like, this shit still is steal. Because I have to pay $13-14 for an 8-piece right now in the north. That's insane. Thinking about Alabama once again, I can't explain it. I had some great memories there, and I met a lot of beautiful souls there. I experienced colorism there. I experienced abundance there. I had some great outdoor, intimate moments outside there. Hot and heavy. Kissing and rubbing and touching. Outside. God knows I love me a good outside everything. Sitting outside, yoga outside, swimming outside, sleeping outside, just a hoodie and a blunt outside. Like, I'm really a project baby who has made it out of the hood. Statistic free. College degrees. I probably made $1 million in my lifetime thus far, and I haven't even really touched the limelight, which is like the near fallen star. Shining bright like I'm the only star. Y'all didn't even know I had the balls. I pray that your life during this 9 year will be filled with divine orchestrated events, people that you're supposed to encounter on this journey, abundance, gratitude, lifelong possibilities, grateful change, love and freedom, peace and abundance, prosperity and abundance, beautiful sunsets, sacred exchange only meant for its highest good, life and new life being created, understanding the abundance and the milk and honey that will flow from your womb. Men, milk and honey that will flow from your heart space. Everyone isn't meant to hurt you. You'd have to tap into the dark space to heal. I should not be interested in any soul on an intimate level after all of the hurt that I've endured from intimate relationships. But I don't allow it to demean me. I think of the curse that was spoken over me by my ex-fiance. And I believed him for a very long time, and that's what a curse does. It's a veil, like the veil over the woman justice. But I am Isis, mother energy, grandmother, wise mother, overcomer, overachiever type of energy. So you cannot cover my eyes. You cannot push me into deceit or deception. And I will always have faith and love. Because if I came here to earth, which is heart, Heart, to love and be free, how can I stop believing in love and only want to be free?